All right, this is Larry Reed, and I'm here with Erica King, who is the president of the Chicago Neighborhood Initiative's Microfinance Group. And Erica, it's great to be talking with you and to learn from what you're doing. So why don't you first start by telling us about CNIMFG, what does it do, where does it operate, what sort of clients does it work with?
Sure. Well, good morning and thank you for having me here. Well, Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives Microfinance Group is a mission-driven CDFI organization that works to support underserved small businesses in various neighborhoods throughout the city of Chicago, as well as the surrounding suburbs of Chicago, and including parts of Northwest Indiana. When I say CDFI, that's a community development financial institution. We are, in our case, we are a non-bank lender to serve the needs of small businesses and entrepreneurs that may not be able to go to a bank to get conventional capital. We provide capital to startup businesses and existing businesses from $500 to $100,000.
Okay.
And we're reaching the most underserved and most vulnerable type of business. Most of our portfolio is deployed to minority businesses, including 82% to African American businesses, another 70% to low moderate income individuals. So we really pride ourselves on making sure that we're touching those that aren't able to go and get conventional financing.
Right. And so what types of businesses are the typical ones you work with?
Well, all types, except nonprofit organizations. So to give you an example of some industries, we have folks that are in transportation. So quite a few owner-operator truck drivers. We have professional service companies, such as accountants, dentists, attorneys. We have childcare providers. We have folks that own barbershops and salons, landscaping machines, auto repair shops.
Okay.
You
So,
name it. You have an escape room.
all right. Great. So it sounds like all of those are operating now, right?
Yeah, they are. Well, there are many that have been severely impacted. Restaurants, of course, too. We have in our portfolio. Many of them, if not all, have been impacted by COVID in some way.
Yeah.
Right now, we're seeing probably the bulk of the impact with our food service businesses that aren't able to have folks dine in. And even if they're doing carry out, because folks aren't out and about and are restricted via their movement, it's really impacted the revenue for many of our restaurants. So many of them are suffering.
Okay, so probably most all of the businesses that you support either have greatly reduced income or no income during this time.
That's right. That's absolutely right. So far, we've heard from probably about 40% of our businesses that have expressed some hardship at some various levels.
Okay.
Some have no income.
All right. And what are you doing in response? How are you helping those businesses?
So in a number of ways. Because there's so much information that's being put out there, we know our businesses are already overwhelmed just trying to make sure that the operations of their business is intact. So we wanted to be very thoughtful and careful about how we put out information and so that it's structured. Same way that we provide TA to our borrowers, we want to make sure that it's structured. So, but without missing important deadlines, of course. Many of our businesses, Larry, are small in nature, are already operating on very, kind of thin cash flow margins.
Right.
So we want to be really thoughtful about encouraging per se borrowing right now versus rather being strategic in your thinking. So what we did was we canvassed grant opportunities for our borrowers. Some that came to us, some that we've created on our own. And so many, like I mentioned, organizations are sharing in knowledge and wealth and are providing opportunities for grant funds. Well, we're sending that information to our borrowers. we've also created a forgivable loan, which is essentially a grant to be able to offer our small businesses. We have not issued that yet. We're still raising money for that, but we're hopeful we'll be able to get that out soon.
So tell me about that. Why did you structure it as a forgivable loan?
Well, we because we're a lender, we have to say we're giving a loan, right?
Okay.
But we understand that it's difficult during this time, and
Right.
if revenues have been impacted, how can we really expect someone to be in a position to, pay back this debt? So what we did was, for all of our existing customers, we created this product that allowed them to have access to up to $5,000, and it doesn't require any repayment. There is no interest that is accruing for this debt, and it basically just is forgiven over time. It will be attached to their existing relationship, and again, it's just to show that that's out there. So the UCC lien will be put out there just to show that that's available. But for all intended purposes, it is forgivable. It is essentially a grant.
So it's something basically to tide them over. Correct. When they have no other source of income.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what we've also been doing is we have offered deferments and forgiveness of payments to our borrowers.
Okay.
So those borrowers that have reached out to us, we have immediately offered at least a 1-month deferment without question. Either today or on Monday, we will be announcing to our entire portfolio that we would offer a 3-month deferment of their payments. And so many, I know, will be relieved to hear that they don't have to necessarily worry about this part. Many of our borrowers, they're so dedicated and so, loyal, and really take pride in their ability to pay us back.
Right.
I know it will be a relief to many of our businesses.
Right. That's good. And what have you heard from your businesses? What sort of hardships are they facing?
Mm-hmm. So there's a transportation company that transports folks. It's a non-medical transportation company. Well, people are nervous out there, and of course,
Right.
they're listening to guidelines from the government about stay at home, so people aren't traveling.
Right.
Even to visit. Doctors are looking at innovative ways for non-emergency needs to be able to offer various services virtually and online and doing those checks. So that particular business operation has been impacted by that. We have a tire repair shop that, people aren't driving, people aren't out, there aren't needs. And so, he's been impacted. His business is completely halted at the moment. We have one borrower that has an escape room. Now you can imagine
Right.
his inability to operate.
Yeah.
So, it's a variety, of needs and hardships, but mainly cash flow as a result of not being able to operate. Many are struggling to pay rent. They're struggling to kind of pay overhead. Some have gotten, the right formula for the employee mix, and they don't want to lose employees.
Right.
So many are still struggling to try to keep their employees paid.
Right.
So, we've been leveraging a lot of different products that are out there and to ensure that those small businesses have access to those resources, such as the PPP loan that's offered through the CARES Act as part of the stimulus plan. So we've ensured that all of our borrowers have access to that information so that they can, ensure that they can at least retain their workforce by applying for these types of loans.
Right. Yeah, and I imagine that's because there's so much from different forms of government, city, county, state, federal, that you probably are a clearinghouse for them to know where they should go, what they can apply for.
We try to be a resource, as a lender, and as a lender to small businesses who have a variety of needs above and beyond just capital. We have to be that conduit. We have to be that resource to kind of help guide them into, the right direction. So yes, we are in conversations with the city of Chicago with respect to its resiliency loan fund. Same thing with the state of Illinois. their loan programs that are being entertained by the state, as well as Cook County in Illinois. So yeah, we are, you know, in conversations with all those just to make sure that we are identifying the best possible resource to help our small businesses survive. We've worked so hard to get them where they are.
Right.
We don't want to
Right. Right. And what do you see after this, you know, after the quarantine period ends? How do you see the economy coming back, especially for small businesses?
Yeah, I heard, and I'm going to take this a little bit deeper
Mm-hmm.
because most of our small business are African American and minority businesses. I'm going to take that comment a little bit, that question a little bit. We're going to dive in a little bit more to that question.
Okay, good.
I heard a quote once that said recently, I believe it was from the Illinois Black Caucus. They said, when the nation gets a cold,
Right.
Black businesses get pneumonia.
Right.
So to your question, once we kind of get out of this pandemic, or at least flatten the curve and we're able to resume some sort of normalcy, the communities that we're working with, it's going to take quite a bit of time for them to fully recover from this impact. While there may be other communities that can kind of recover quickly, I do foresee, you know, our portfolio and our population of businesses having more long-term residual effects as a result of this. So it's really gonna be very instrumental that, you know, these types of businesses have access to technical assistance and business development support that will help guide them and help think strategically about how they can either modify operations or, you know, manage cash flow or have access to more of these type of creative loan products or grant products so that we can ensure that they have what they need for the long haul. Because I anticipate it being more than just a 3 or 4 month, recovery here.
Because the unemployment is going to linger for a while, and so there's going to be a lot less money flowing in those communities. So that will be a challenge. And one thing I've seen in my interviews with microfinance practitioners in other countries is the role of the organization to be an advocate for their clients with the government, to make sure the government understands what the needs are and what the best ways government can support those communities will be.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. While I appreciate all of the municipalities' efforts to come up with loan products to assist small businesses, we have been advocating for more innovation with respect to relief options. We have been strongly advocating for grant funds and fusion. You know, the issue is, you know, providing a loan right now for short-term relief is going to impact these businesses and have them have very severe long-term consequences.
Right. Yeah. They'll have a credit strain, a cash flow strain going forward.
That's absolutely correct. So advocating for that, advocating for more access to opportunities when this hopefully dies down. You know, there is a need for us to kind of use our platform to ensure that we're representing the voices of all our small businesses that we're serving.
Yep. Well, that's great. I think it's great what you're doing, the role you play. I think it's, I've written about organizations like yours as being financial first responders, that you're there standing in the gap and being the first ones in line to support businesses that are struggling to make it through this time.
Yeah, we are doing what we can do. So if we have a platform, I always believe we need to use it responsibly to ensure that we're advocating for those that we target. So thank you.
Well, that's great. Great work and great to talk with you, Erica.
You as well. Thank you, Larry.